Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow bringing you guys another video. It's been highly requested my Blackbeard deck list. So today I'll be going over the list. I've been doing fairly well with it, either going X1 at locals, maybe X2 tops. I did win just this last Sunday, so it's been doing fairly well for me. Not the store regional, went 1-4. That was just a terrible bracket. It was just horrible. But yeah, we'll be going into the deck list. But before we do, as always, just a reminder, you do have the 5% off Dueling Guard. Link in the description for any of the products on the website. And not only that, but make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comment down below what you guys think, what you guys would like to see. I'm going to try to upload some more vlogs. Just been very busy with some other stuff, so just going to try to get more vlog content so you guys see what's going on at locals. Some other decks, just kind of practicing for Peoria right now, so that's just where I'm at. But without further ado, let's get into the deck list. Alright, so the first card of the deck is obviously the main man himself, Marshall D. Teach Blackbeard. So all your on plays are negated. Activate main, you can pitch a card to negate your opponent's on play abilities. Obviously it is not a once per turn, you can do that as many times as you want. Going into the first card in the list, we are running a 2 of Lafitte. I know a lot of lists are running this at a 4 of. I dropped it to 2 specifically because I want to be able to see Laboon. I am running Laboon in the deck. But not only that, but like finger pistols as well. I don't want to whiff them to the bottom. I want to have a better chance of trying to see them. If I do play it out, I am going to use it, and it is going to net me a card and act as a pseudo blocker as well. So Lafitte's still doing what it needs to do. It's just I don't want to, I want to see Laboon, so I don't want to search as often as I would before when it was just pure Blackbeard build. On to the next card, we are running a 4 of Stronger. This is basically the only 2K that I'm running at a set. Obviously it's a 2K and it's also a 1 cost reduction. I can activate main, trash Stronger, and trash one other card from my hand to give something -2 and replace 1 card back. So I am losing 1 card out of that. However, it is going to give something -2, bringing it in range for finger pistol if it's a 7 cost, or a 6 cost in range for black hole. So it kind of gets some of those higher cost cards if I need that extra reduction in range, if I don't have like a Laboon and an Augur together, or maybe just a Laboon and I need an extra 2 for a higher cost card. On to the next card, for 2 costs, we have Doc Q. Currently running it at a 3 of, and you'll see later in the list. But yeah, 3 of for Doc Q. Obviously, I want to see Stage and Lafitte, so that's at least 4 cards per turn with Stage, 6 with Lafitte, or if I have both, I'm basically going through 10 cards. So have a pretty good chance of trying to see it. Typically, I want to have this turn 1 going into turn 2 if I'm going first. So on 3 down, I want to set this up with a Lafitte. Activate main, pop a 1 cost on KO, draw a card. So again, this can act as a pseudo blocker sometimes as well. I know sometimes your opponent does not want to swing into it because they don't want to give you a card. However, sometimes if they leave this, it can do enough damage with board removal if you have the Augur and Laboon. So a 3 of, I know some people are trying to run it, not run it at all. I personally think it should be ran. But yeah, next card, 2 of Vasco Shot. I have come into matches where I've brought this out with Kuzan to have a blocker, or try to establish it to protect, Doc Q, Van Augur, or Laboon, so that if they try to swing into one of the pieces, Vasco Shot will block for me. So it's pretty good. I typically don't need to see, or I don't need both. I might cut this into something else. But as for right now, this is the list that I am running. It's a decent card. I know there's going to be a new blocker. It's a 2K that we run, so I don't think it's a Blackbeard, which is again why we kind of dropped this. I don't know though. I think it's Caribou. But yeah, that's Vasco. One of the cards that I might change for sure. On to the next card, we are running a 2 of 2K Shiryu. This is basically 2K. I've never used it for its win attacking ability ever, not even in 09. Maybe I have once, but always a 2K, and typically I might even chuck it for my stage or leader ability if absolutely desperate. Could potentially bump this up to have an extra 2K, but the name of the game is essentially board removal and having pseudo blockers up, like Lafitte, Doc Q, Augur, all those are going to be pseudo blockers so that they're not swinging at face. They're going to try to get rid of that stuff to prevent me from continuously doing removal. So just the 2 of. And on to the next card, you won't believe it, it is another Shiryu, but it is the new OP10 one. The 4-drop, activate main. On the turn it's played, you can pop an original cost of 3, so reduction will not work with this card. It's always going to check 3 and under from their original cost. Very good in the Zoro matchup, might bump this up for sure to 3. Kind of prepare myself for the Zoros. If not, this can also pop Tashigi and some other things like stuff in Usopp. Very good card. Not only that, on your opponent's turn it is a 7K, so it's not just a 5. It's going to be a 7 on your opponent's turn, so if they want to get rid of it, they have to invest Dawn to be able to get rid of it, to swing into it at least. So very good card. It has a 1K, and again, I'll pitch this for ability or stage because I can bring it back with Kuzan as well. So very good card. Might definitely bump it up. On to the next card, which is pretty much the MVP of the deck. We do have Burgess. 4 of Burgess. So sad that we're not going to get the treasurer here in the States. It is a China exclusive treasurer from what I'm hearing. But we all know what he does. For every 4 cards in the trash, he is going to get an extra 1,000 attack stat. So I typically want to set him up, trying to go into my Blackbeard turn. Not too early because it can be bottom decked. Cannot be KO'd, which is great. But it can be rested and swung into, so that is the only thing about it. So that you don't want to try to fill up the trash to get them as beefy as possible, if you can. Not much else to be said about Burgess. On to the next card, it is Laboon, like I was saying. So I am running 3 Laboon. I had it at 2, bumped it up to 3, so that I can see it a little bit more often, which is again why we dropped Lafitte down from 4 to 2. So that's why I run 2. Laboon is an activate main, rest the character, give something -4. Obviously with the bans, Dofi not being as seen as it was prior, now we're seeing a lot of 5-cost bodies, which is why I decided to throw it back in to be able to reach those higher targets for .Q, because Augur cannot reach a 5-cost. It can only reach a 4 unless you have double Augur on the field. So I decided to put it in at 3 to have a better chance of seeing it. I do see it quite often, and again, it can reach the 5s down for .Q to be able to pop. It can bring 9 costs in range for Finger Pistol, and it can bring 8 costs in range for Black Hole. So this also helps me with a lot of removal, and again, as a pseudo blocker, because as soon as it turns sideways, people are going to want to get rid of it. They don't want me to get that reduction, because if I'm not going for reduction, it will swing for 5 at least. So yeah, gotta have Laboon in the deck again for myself. Next card, we do have Van Augur. I had it at 4. Obviously I cut it to 3 because I have the Laboon. So 3 and 3 for reduction I think is pretty good. -3 on KO, draw 1. So this is still good because I am going to be able to draw, and it's a 6K stat line compared to Laboon at a 5. Again, the only thing for Laboon is it is giving something -4, which is very good. Not much else to be said. Again, this will help bring stuff in range for my events. If not, 4 costs all day with .Q, so very good. Specifically for Dofi and Zoro, Augur is good to see because if they want to get rid of it, I might, and if they are able to, I will draw a card. So very good for me. On to another great card from OP10. We do have 4 Kuzans. Still need to get the alt arts. Kind of waiting on it. Pushing it off. Cannot be removed at all. So can't be bottom decked. Can't be bounced back to hand. Can't be KO'd. So very sticky card. Essentially, the only thing to get rid of it is Blackbeard, but in order to do that, they need to invest cards and use Black Hole. So at a minimum, need to use 2 cards to get rid of Kuzan. It does have an activate main, replace, trash this, bring something back from the trash, 5 costs or less, and you draw cards. You're replacing this in your hand, and you're replacing your trash with whatever you want. So Kuzan can bring back anything except for Laboons because it's not a Blackbeard Pirates. But if I need reduction as far as Augur and it's in the trash, I can bring it back. Burgess, I could bring Burgess back and not mess with the trash because this is going to take Burgess's spot and still draw me a card on top of it. I've done plays where I've brought, Shiryu against Zoro with the Kuzan, or an Augur for reduction and playing out a Daku from hand. Obviously Burgess. Very, very rare circumstances I have brought Daku back for popping purposes. But also Vasco shot if I do need a blocker. So Kuzan is very versatile and can turn into whatever it wants. But you also kind of want to, know when to do it. You don't want to do it a little too early, because if you go into Burgess too early, it can be bottom decked with like Grab Blade. So there's something to play around. But yeah, next card is just a one of. I do have it as like a little tech card. Katarina Devon, I have thrown it in now. Pretty decent card. It's in an activate main. Once per turn, you can give this character blocker, banish, or double attack. It's a 5/6 and it has a 1k counter. I believe I dropped Daku from 4 to 3 to put in one of these. In the mirror match, if you give her blocker and your opponent tries to nullify the blocker with like a black hole or 10 drop, it would not work because this is technically a status effect. So you would still be able to block. But if it is 10 dropped, you will not be able to swing and give it something to turn after. But at least for that one turn, you can still use it as a blocker. Of course, since it's a 6k stat line, if they just try to swing 5 at you, it's a free block, unlike Vasco shot. And then if I'm trying to go lethal, I can give it banish and try to, get past a trigger, potential trigger like against yellow, or potential green because they have some triggers to rest. So yeah, this does give me some type of options. It did get me a win over Bonnie, being able to block as they were trying to be aggressive. But yeah, just a one of. I wouldn't bump it off of that. And on to the second MVP, maybe the most valuable other than Burgess. We do have a 4 of 10 drop Blackbeard. Obviously, this is a 4 of blocker, activate main. On the turn that it is played, you can choose to nullify your opponent's leader and character. So it'll just nullify them for the turn. Obviously, we know what it does since last set. Always going to be a 4 of, never less. I do pitch it quite often in like the rush matchups. I do think it's kind of bait if you think you're going to make it. If you don't have a board established. So I will pitch this for stage, leader ability, to try to find other pieces like Shiryu, or maybe some 2Ks if absolutely needed. But nothing else to be said. Such a great card. But that's pretty much it as far as characters. Again, Kuzan can bring out anything here except Laboon and obviously 10 drop because it's over 5. That's it for the package. Of course, again, probably switch out a Vasco shot, and I'll tell you a couple other cards as we go. But onto the events, which is mainly stage. Run a 4 of stage. Again, we want to see this opening because this is what we're going to use to essentially cycle and fill up the trash, because Lafitte is going to be great to search top 5. It's going to get swung into, so this is going to be our most consistent way of searching. And then you can always pitch stage to use stage. This is a brick after you found your first one. But yeah, it's going to look at the top 3, find whatever pieces you need. It's also a good way for me to kind of see if I haven't milled the finger pistol and I've gone through the entire deck. At that point, I know there's going to be a finger pistol in life, so I kind of start taking life to hope that I trigger it a lot sooner and hope it's not last life. But it's a gamble, but it's after, obviously like very late in the game to kind of tell those kind of plays. But yeah, 4 of stage. I used to have it at 3 in OP9, but now it's up to 4. The next card I do have is My Era Begins. It's a 1 cost. Obviously, we know main, look at the top 3 cards, pick up to 1 Blackbeard type pirate card except for My Era Begins and add it to hand. The rest go to trash. So very good way of flooding the trash and being able to find a different piece. Potentially could be worth, you know, maybe cutting one, adding something else into the list, because again, I want to see Laboon and I want to see Finger Pistol. My Era Begins is kind of a risk of potentially just trashing it and not being able to see it. So that's kind of where I'm at, but I do love it because when it's in life and they're trying to go lethal, it's a way to try to find counter. So I'll see what I do with the ratios. Next event card we are running is Black Hole. I had this at a 2 of, and I decided to bump it up to 3 because I figured this is more beneficial than Liberation. It's a 4 cost. You can nullify your opponent's character's abilities. So like, let's say it's a 10 drop, I nullify the blocker, I can swing right past it. If it's 4 costs or less, it will pop it. So again, a way to be able to remove any type of body as long as it's 4 costs. So again, Augur, if you have a 7 cost, you could bring it in range for this. Laboon can bring an 8 cost in range for Black Hole. So it's just ways for me to be able to remove some top end. I have done, you know, Laboon, Stronger, Black Hole to get rid of a 10 drop Shank. So if you need to set up those pieces for removal, there are there. It's just, you know, making sure you have them there and ready to do so, because by the time 10 drop comes down, they're essentially just going to try to go for life. So you might have to take that life and hope you can remove it after. But it's also a lot easier because of the next event, which is Finger Pistol. KO up to one of your opponent's 5 costs or less. Obviously, it reaches 1 more higher than Black Hole does. So it will reach 5 costs and make it a little bit easier. It also fills up the trash because you have to trash 2 cards. Again, this is why I've dropped Lafitte down to 2, because I want to see Laboon and Finger Pistol off the top draws if possible, and I do see it quite often. So I am liking the ratios of this so far, and yeah, nothing else to be said about Finger Pistol. And on to my last card. It is Liberation at a 1 of, and honestly, you know, I was very hyped for this card, but obviously with the bans, Jinbei's not around, they're not flooding the board like they used to. At this point, when I have to play Liberation, I'm pretty much already losing, and it's just too costly. For 6 Dawn, it's pretty much my turn, and I could have done something else. So yeah, I might cut this, and definitely, I probably am going to cut it. Add something else that can be used in the deck, maybe an extra Shiryu to bump up to 3. In the Zoro matchup, again, the Shiryu's popping their Searcher Choppers and any other little thing that they're playing. Just the top end that I got to worry about, and that's for Van Augur, Laboon, and any of these 2 events, Black Hole or Finger Pistol, that can help remove it. But yeah, that's pretty much where I am at. Definitely cutting Liberation and adding something else in. Maybe a Vasco shot. So definitely going to tweak with the list. But this is the list that I went 5-0 at the locals. Not a store regional, sadly, so I do not have an invite yet. Hopefully I can get it before the first nationals, but we'll see. But as always, if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys thought, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.